stuff like
Yeah,
that.
cold showers are really good. I mean, I'm a big, after workout, a big fan of cold showers. And people who take cold showers have less body fat than people who take warm
Yeah,
showers.
see, that's what I thought that was general to do with
Well, cold,
coldness.
being really cold will trigger
Kill
cell
you.
death in your lipocytes, but it's a lot colder than the cold that you would get from air conditioning, unless you really cranked it up.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you have to actually get the surface of your flesh like down to the 50s.
Yeah, I know. Donald Trump kept his Trump University lowered to 68 because it keeps you like alert and like I guess more compliant a little bit, but more like jumpy to do things. So it's like you could get them signed up easier that way, apparently.
Not me. I mean, I have Raynaud's syndrome, so like when it gets to be that temperature, like I just start kind of like seizing up because my hands start to curl. And
Mm, yeah. Well, that's good. Then you wouldn't be able to hold the pen, and he wouldn't sign you up for his university. I've started this broadcast, so anybody
Yeah,
who's
let's do
joined
it.
us, welcome.
Oh yeah.
Where's Kevin? I don't know if David, you
He's
know.
he's on holiday.
Oh, that's right. That's true. Okay, welcome everybody to the DoneJS contributors meeting. I'll go with my status. For the first half of this week, I worked on the documentation. I did a new update of CanSets docs for the README documentation. And then let me share my screen just so I can show it off real quick. So here's my Celsius. So CanSet did some new docs there with the new generator, which is nice. I really like this tool actually because it produces these things, which are very annoying to produce yourself. And then I worked on the new site. Let me get that going real quick so I can just show it off. None of the styles, but this is kind of what Matthew and I have been working on. Yes, stack. So just the content for the new site. So we're going to kind of organize CanJS's modules in a core ecosystem, infrastructure, and legacy. Core is the best, most hardened, and generally useful libraries in CanJS, kind of the things that you're really going to be using all of the time. Ecosystem are going to be things like CanFixture, CanZone, CanSimpleDom, things that you will use like for also other fun plugins like if Feathers has a nice integration that would go in here. Backup and restore once that's upgraded to be using the new CanDefine will go in there. Infrastructure is all of the like lower level utilities, and then legacy is like the stuff that just it's supported. We'll accept patches, but it's not like we're actively developing it. So the structure of our navigation is going to be kind of through that. Whether it ends up looking, I don't think it's going to end up looking like this, but you'll click core, and then you'll see the core libraries and work your way down to, hey, define map, the prototype, just kind of like the existing site. So that's going good. And the other thing I've worked on is a demo app. Let me load it. There it is. So this is for the Steel.js training. I'm giving that tomorrow. Basically, the app is extremely simple. It's just a progressively loaded app that loads from a list of repos that belong to somebody, or just a wall of puppies, basically. But it does the whole progressive loading and exports the puppies to like, a global script. So if someone else wanted to use it with just a script tag, really hits all of the big points. And I'm gonna put that together with a presentation and kind of a guide that maybe lands in steeljs.com. Would be my hope. That's my status. Things I'd like to talk about today. I put everybody, just a quick reminder, if you haven't already, please put your status in the forums. Things I want to talk about, I guess I already showed. If there's, I can go into it more in depth. We'll go through the website designs. I want to go through those and then get maybe feedback on the training materials, or I'll send it to people and see what they think. Who's next?
I guess I can go. My status is pretty much very similar to Justin's. I've also been working on CanJS documentation, mostly going through and setting up the README docs. I guess I can show off how to do it in case anyone's interested in learning. It's not perfect at this time. Let's go to something. Switch here. I go to can list. Oops. Okay, let me go here. The can list package JSON. You add the bit docs stuff. You make bit docs a dependency. And this includes the README. So what's important here is because I'm using the README generator, I need to define kind of like the hierarchy. So for most of these, I mean putting this in a separate file. Docs APIs.json, which looks like this. It just defines the hierarchy that I want to show up in the README. So I got this set up so I can do document, and that will run bit docs, and then I can preview it. So I take a look at the markdown, look it over. There's been some stuff that's kind of weird about it that I haven't really fixed. Like if you notice here, this is referring to can deferred. Well, can deferred don't actually exist anymore.
How are you previewing that?
Oh, I have a Chrome extension that formats it. Yeah,
cool.
Which is kind of nice. It kind of makes it look pretty much like GitHub does. Which
That's
is why
awesome.
I like it. But anyways, there's some stuff that's kind of weird about it. What's that?
Just put promise there.
Promise?
Yeah.
Just put promise there. Does it return a promise? Well, anyways, we don't have to go over. But there is some weirdness about this. There's some other docs that refer to like other packages. Like I think maybe can view scope refers to can. There's a lot that refer to can map. So you don't get real links at this time to like those other projects. Now you do in like the full site documentation. Which is here. Those links will work. Like these will. Oh, those are not the right ones. Like a can list. But yeah, just within README does.
Yeah, we talked about. I think I can make that work.
Okay.
We'll. I'd rather release CanJS 3.0 first, and then we can come back and make that. It's okay if it's kind of the READMEs can be a little at first, and then we can tighten it up after the release.
But anyways, this generates this, and then I copy and paste this into the actual real README, and, include all the other stuff, and that's pretty much it. It's just it's a lot of updating references to old stuff, getting rid of the can dot everywhere, making new examples where necessary. So that's my status.
So one question about the documentation. So you are generating the docs from the inline comments in the file, or where?
So a lot of the docs are, yes, a lot of them are like that, but then we also have a lot of markdown files as well. So I didn't rewrite all the docs. There was already a lot of existing documentation which I used where possible.
Yeah, you put the markdown files, append them to the README, or how do they?
No, they're in the bit docs does all that for you. Like I have all these markdown files here. I have prototype.
Your screen isn't being shown here.
Sorry. So like this is can list. And you'll notice it has all these markdown files. So like prototype adder, it has the tags, and when I run bit docs, have that API. It's that JSON file. It just tells it like what order to put stuff, and BitDocs will do all the fun part.
Yeah, I mean the reason is like why it's sometimes in JavaScript and we eventually, it seems like in the long run things get moved into Markdown, is because, well, if you're just writing the signature out, right, that could be a few lines. Oh, here's parameter 1 is this, parameter 2 is this, parameter 3 is this, it returns this. Not much there, 5 lines, that's fine. But once you start like adding examples and other crazy use cases and how to do it and a whole bunch of other information, it gets really a lot of text there. And then if you look at a JavaScript module, if you're trying to code it and you've got all these huge gaps between your files, it gets a little unruly. So we tend to move it all into Markdown at that point. So it's great when you're starting development to just keep it inline comments, but it gets obnoxious at the end, so we end up moving it.
But can you merge that? Can you merge the inline docs with the Markdown files?
Yes, they all get. Yeah, they all get. It all gets put into one thing, and then output is either README or individual documentation pages.
Okay.
So it's cool. We can kind of have our cake and eat it too now, where we can have like a README generated, but also the full CanJS site, which is groovy. Okay, cool. David?
I've been trying to think, but I don't have anything for this week, so I'm just listening in.
Cool. Julian?
Yeah, I can look over what I did last week, so I'm always behind documentation or behind the contributor meeting guide. So here is what I did last week, and yeah, so and working this week also on this. We had some stuff. The main parts are the two at the bottom. So here we are steel tools. So the new steel tools, or the 3 on the bottom, the new steel.js has a new configuration startup method. And it's more like an order. The order is of configuration is now necessary or is now needed, and I make that working, so we can now, and it's more clearly for the user how you can configuration or how you configure steel, but because in the past it was not really good documented, and yeah, now it's better. And the last part what I did is about steel CSS. So yeah, it also was a problem that that steel CSS was in production. It was injected like with a link tag, and maybe the problem is that it was blocking rendering the page, or it was loaded and not fully loaded, and JavaScript also began to run, and then you have content without style, and now it's promise-based, and we are waiting in production if the CSS file is loaded, and if it's loaded, then we resolve the promise, and the JavaScript code run behind or after CSS file is loaded. So for next week, I want to, or for this weekend and next week, I want to collapse some steel core modules into one repo. So Matthew and I talked about that we have the core modules of Steel that now are spread about 5 or 6 repos, and that's not needed because it's a pain to manage that, because you have to update the dependencies and look if Steel is running, and it's not, you have to go back in the repo and so on. So I try to collapse that, and starting with an easy one like the system JSON module or some other stuff, and maybe we got that. So I think that was some little stuff here.
That was awesome. No, it's great.
JSON, if some users, yes, it's a little tiny patch. If some users want to filter through the package JSON file while building, he can use the JSON options and the transform method. But in the past, the transform method does not go through the package JSON files. So you have you can only filter through an JSON file that's loaded in the module. For now, you can use a transform method also for running through the package JSON file.
Why is that called JSON options though? That's a strange name.
I don't know, Matthew.
That's because all of our stuff is called that. Like we have a less options.
Oh, this is for JSON. This is for just JSON.
Well, we have a JSON like kind of extension.
Yeah, this is just to configure the JSON extension. I guess I thought it was for more than transforming just JSON. I misunderstood it. Okay, makes sense.
And now you can filter. Maybe if you want to delete the browser option in your JSON package file, you can see, okay, if the ignore browser is true and there's a JSON system object, then delete that. So and then the produced bundled file doesn't have that attribute in the bundle file anymore, and it's maybe you can remove some stuff you don't need it in production. Be careful, some of the or much of the stuff you need it, but in some cases you don't need the system development or browser development, and for example.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. That reminds me, Julian. I'm not going to put you on the spot here, so you don't have to answer right now. But we need to get you, if you want, we'll fly you out in August for our training and retreat if you want a free trip to the United States. But I will email you more details. And if Sheriff and Prashant are watching, you guys need to start coming to these, and then you also get a free trip. But that reminds me, I'll email you the details. Okay. If you want to join us, that'd be fun.
Cool. Thanks.
Cool. Anything else? So Brad is going to, I don't know how long you're going to be on open source for, but
yeah, right now it's up in the air. I'm still getting I'm getting reallocated, but to exactly whether or when that's going to happen is not finalized. Been talking to Brian about some possible other things to work on next since I'm moving off of Levi's. So hey, I'm a free agent. I can work on whatever is cool, needs some addressing. I have a outstanding pull request in Can Fixture that fixes the headers. It also, especially because it addresses specifically the way that jQuery Ajax likes to set headers on XHRs. Mm-hmm. Because it was just a use case or like a timing issue that if the headers weren't set on the XHR at creation time, then they wouldn't get moved over to the real one. So that's outstanding and in the GitHub repo, as a pull request. And otherwise, hey, it's nice to be here.
I think it'd be good if I can get like an hour of your time to just review this Steel Getting Started guide I'm working on, just to make sure like, you know, the steps are right. And
Sure.
then, yeah, if you want to do that, that's great. If there's anything else, and then we'll probably get you working on the 3.0 effort to help get the docs and everything set up.
All right, that'd be great.
Awesome. And then Blaze, how's it going, Blaze?
Hey, how are you?
Good. So, do you want to go through the designs?
Sure. Yeah, still working on some stuff on my end, but I can put the link up in here.
Share your screen and show
Oh
it
yeah,
off
I could do that actually.
Yeah,
rather.
Julian can check it out.
Cool. Is that coming through?
Yep.
All good? Okay, cool. So yeah, so here's some of the wireframes from the earlier stages. We moved away from this. Is for the CanJS stuff. There's one with a nav bar on the left. We wanted to do kind of like a sidebar that's traditional, and then we went and switched to sort of a horizontal layout like this, which kind of evolved into this one here. And a lot of the issues right now is the content is really below all of this. So my challenge is shrinking some of this up, figuring out a good layout for this. I'm trying a couple ideas with the drop downs. But basically, yeah, the biggest problem is this is kind of all below. You have to scroll down to get to it. And the other thing is it's a lot of text. It kind of looks like a tag cloud right now. So really working to figure something out there. And then I started working on a version 2 of that, which has the components and everything over here on the sidebar with a drop down. But once again, it's quite a bit. So I'm working on 2 different designs right now. One is kind of the horizontal layout, and one is the sidebar navigation layout. And I'm trying to distinguish and figure out which one is the best route to go. But also at the same time, I'm trying to figure out how I can kind of minimize this look and feel, just because there's quite a bit. Tom had put up a mega menu that he worked on. We were both talking about this yesterday, and it kind of allows you to hover over and see like a drop-down list, and they can be pretty large. So we're working on something on that aspect as well. But yeah, it's still kind of a work in progress, and that's it right now.
Cool, thanks. You didn't happen to get it a version with the content?
I am. I'm working on that right now. I had some issues yesterday working in Azure with Tom, so he's kind of given me some demonstrations on how to use that software. I'm getting there, but it's just taking a little bit for me to learn it. I've never used that before. So what I'm doing right now is kind of throwing everything I've created in a different application into Azure right now, and then at the same time I'm trying to prototype it so I can present it better and at a better level.
Okay, cool. Any thoughts about that, people? We kind of already talked about it in the open source room a little bit, like internally,
Yeah.
Julian, but I don't know if you...
So what do you think of this,
anybody else?
honestly? Like, I'm curious to hear thoughts on honestly on this part right here, because before the content, you know, was quite up there. Like, there's just so much right here, and before you can even see anything, it's way down here. But I like actually having this menu in here and being able to hover over. Are these modules correct, or what part of these? I might be using the wrong terminology. Someone slap me if I'm wrong. Okay. So yeah. So basically, I really like this flow, being able to hover over and see them, and then you can quickly jump in, jump past, and this navigation remains global as you kind of dive into each and everything else.
What's about mobile devices? Maybe I often sit on the couch with my iPad and read the docs about CanJS. So what about if we use this hover other stuff. So, what about mobile devices?
No,
Not,
great point.
not an iPhone or not a small mobile phone, but an iPad or a pad.
Yeah, it might be an actual tap itself. Something that I need to consider quite a bit going into this right now. But yeah, I guess in this sense it would be just as simple as a tap. It wouldn't actually change the page. It would just see that's another question I guess that I have is if I do like a module where I click can define, will that take me to an entirely different page on can define, or will this just honestly be a hover action that'll give me each of these elements, behaviors, modules, and data types?
Yeah, I don't know if this was clear in my comments yesterday, but the issue that I see with this one is the topology of the documentation. I'm not sure how that would translate to this. So what I mean by that is, let's say you were on Can Connect and then you clicked on can/model, and can/model has like a million methods underneath it, right? So you see them under modules, you click can model, right? Now what does the page look like after that? And then let's say I click on one of can models prototype methods. What does it look like after that? Because some of these have a lot of stuff under them, which keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And you could keep going with that breadcrumb across, but it gets, I don't know. It's weird that even we have core and then these things underneath, because some of them might have a lot anyways. Like I almost see, I don't know. There's a topology because it keeps getting deeper. If you only end on those first two levels, then how do you navigate like when you're 6 levels deep? Is it you're hovering over that little breadcrumb? I don't know. I guess to me that has to be defined before I could really like feel like I know what this is doing. I can go through that more if you need it.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, just another problem I'm gonna be trying to figure out. So yeah, I also need to get the server up and running. I have it locally. I need to start it and make sure everything runs on it so I can see your work as you work on it and constantly be able to copy and paste text in there so I can work a little faster too. So
yeah, and then you can actually see the topology, and you can see like how deep it goes and kind of the different what's under what. Cool. Any other
definitely.
Any other thoughts about this? Any other topics people want to discuss? Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll try to have I might. My ideal would be on Wednesday. I can do a Steel.js training with like a short version, so people can see that then. A short version of the Steel.js training. For everybody else, I think everybody here, it's actually going to be a little simplistic, but it'd be good to get feedback once I put that up. We can polish that and start going across the country. Huh?
Is that training live? No, it's not a training, not a live training.
It will be live. It'll be a hangout.
It's a hangout, okay.
Yeah, like I normally sometimes do on Wednesdays is training day where, I'll do a training. Cool. Anyways, the bells are ringing in Germany. We'll conclude it.
Time to eat.
11 o'clock. Yeah, time to eat. All right. See everybody next week.
See ya.
See everybody.
Bye.